topic today is manifesting your future. So this may be the most important talk that we have ever recorded. So we will give you a brief overview of how to manifest your future and then share how the act of manifesting has enhanced our lives personally. So first, let's talk about affirmations. Our definition of an affirmation is a positive statement directed towards yourself, so ourself. So some of you may remember daily affirmations with Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live. I don't bring that up to make light of affirmations or make fun of them. I bring Saturday Night Live skits up to bring reference to the actual topic. So we want you to imagine standing in front of a mirror, if that helps, and saying positive statements to yourself. You might even feel a little bit goofy. You may even cry. In the beginning, it may be very, very awkward. I know it was for me. I remember it like would choke to get it out because it was something that I totally didn't even believe about myself. And so when you see, though, the positive effects it can have on your life and how it absolutely transforms and changes you, that goofy, awkward feel of saying it melts away. Now, to be clear, we state affirmations in positive language and we also state it as if it's already happening. So Lisa, would you mind sharing a few of your affirmations, please?
Not at all. So I start off, I have like a paragraph that I do with affirmations, but like the first few, it starts off, I live a blessed life. I spend quality time with family members daily. I communicate clearly and effectively. And those are just a few, but you get the idea. And they're not too narrow. For instance, I live a blessed life covers a lot of ground, and it reminds me to see blessings all around me. And then I spend quality time with my family members does not demand a time limit or a specific expectation of which family member that I spend time with that day or any given day. And then I communicate clearly and effectively does not predetermine whether that is verbal or written or how that's happening, but it still allows for me to communicate effectively.
Nice, thank you. I like those examples, and we'll add a few of mine here as well. My body functions as my creator intended. I feel calm and safe as I allow my body to be healed. I believe in my ability to love and accept myself for who I am. Every time I inhale, fresh energy fills my entire body and being. And every time I exhale, all the toxins and fat leave my body. But before we discuss any more guidelines of affirmations for manifesting our best lives, let's share how this has personally enriched our lives. So tell us how these practices have brought more enjoyment into your life.
Well, this is so fun. So I'm going to backtrack for a moment and tell you that reading a book by Joseph Murphy, and this book is entitled The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, really piqued my interest to give this a try. So I had my paragraph of manifestations and I made sure that I was reading them like 3 times a day. But probably more important than that was that I was truly believing in them. And I was thinking about them randomly at other times during the day. If I caught myself passively thinking anything that betrayed my affirmations, I whisked that negative thought away and I stated my affirmations again aloud or inside my head, or I would go grab my paragraph and read it. So I really began to catch myself in mid-thought and change the ending of that thought. And I gotta say, I had always considered myself to be a glass half full kind of person, pretty happy. But I began to realize the amount of self-depreciating humor that I used in my text, in my speech, and even in my mind. And I think about this metaphor from Murphy's book where he mentions getting into a cab and giving the driver 15 different sets of directions. I mean, how's the driver going to know where to take you? So I quickly recognized that my go-to thought patterns weren't going to work out if I really wanted to manifest good things in my life, and I began to change them. So what changed in my life? Actually, my relationship with my children and my husband all improved. I mean, obviously, I loved my family, my children, my husband, but I can't say that I enjoyed every moment, every single moment that I spent with them. Family members not only begin to take one another for granted, but they can get on each other's nerves. And so I just watched all of that dissipate before my eyes. At least one of my family members was seeking me out daily. And instead of answering quickly, like if they asked me something, instead of answering them quickly and sticking my nose back in a book to like learn more, I gave them my full attention and I took pleasure in the present moment. And then they responded in kind, and we just had higher quality interactions and really enjoyed it more. I mean, it's not like we didn't get along before. It's just that we kind of did our own things and we didn't take as much pleasure as we could in one another's company. But the biggest change was my relationship with my husband. And he has enormous patience with me as I, get into a lot of different things. I read about this and I, tell him, oh, da, da, da. And he listens and he smiles and he allows me to share all my little fun nuggets. And then I move on to a new interest. But this one was just too good. And so I had to share it. So I bought him a copy of the book before Christmas. And, I watched that book gather dust for a little while. And in his defense, once people are out of school, they're either readers or they're not. I mean, everybody knows how, but they just either read as a hobby or not. If it's not a habit, it's certainly not a priority just to please a busybody wife. So then I proposed that we do the book as a book study, and he took me up on the offer. And he may have just been doing it to be nice, but I think he's really glad he did. We read a chapter and just discuss what stands out to us. And we do this a couple of times a week. And then we try to put the new information into play. And the whole book is about manifesting and affirming good things in your life. And I wouldn't attempt to put words into his mouth, but I know that we both have a better outlook on life and we're more positive and we enjoy all of our conversations with each other more. So I see it as a manifestation of the affirmation to spend more quality time with family members daily.
It's so amazing. And you see how just the shift in your mindset shifted everything about like your life, which is so cool. It feels like it shifts so effortlessly and you then feel more satisfied. And I agree and will share how manifesting has actually improved my life as well. So quite a while ago, I noticed that I had a lot of negative thinking, and I ended up watching The Secret and watched the part on there where the guy always thought, well, everybody's out to get me, nobody likes me. And that's actually what he manifested in his life. He had no friends. He had no family around him. He felt like a total loner and really just wanted to crawl into a hole and die. And then he was talking with his coach and life coach, and realized like, he goes, I want to record this conversation and I'm going to play it back to you. And he realized how negative he was. And so that completely transformed, a lot of my thinking as well. And I thought, golly, if he could do it, I could do it. And so just transforming the thoughts and catching, just like how we have mentioned on previous talks, catching that thought right when you notice like, oh, it's slightly negative, let me reframe it. And you reframe it right then and there, and you catch them. You're not going to catch all of them in one day, but you're going to catch them little by little by little, and more and more and more and more, until you notice like, I'm not having negative thoughts like I was, not nearly in the magnitude that I was having them. And that's really where I've seen like the biggest transition. I really hardly ever meet negative people. My relationships with pretty much everybody I meet, I look for the positive, and I only focus on the positive things. So they could come at me with negative, but I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, like your hair looks amazing, or, and then all of a sudden they're kind of like, oh, the defenses come down. So I've used it not only for my business, but also in strengthening all the relationships in my life. So I absolutely have had, it's been fun. to do. It's been very empowering and just feel like it's a necessity, especially in today's world.
Yeah, that's fascinating, Dina. I mean, the way that it really goes to work. And I have to admit that I had seen quite a few videos or read books that mentioned manifesting before, and I just kind of kept my blinders up. And I think it was so ingrained in me that you have to work hard to get somewhere, that manifesting just sounded too easy to be believable. But I'm now a true believer, and I hope that we are convincing you to give it a try as well.
Yeah, my coach a long time ago said nothing becomes dynamic until it becomes specific. So I also, during manifesting, made sure that what I wanted in my life, I was constantly thinking about instead of focusing on the things that I didn't want. And that makes a huge difference as well, because whatever you're thinking about, that's what comes, in front of you. Have you ever noticed, like, well, I'm looking for, a new table, and then all of a sudden all these emails come in about a table, or your friend talks to you about a table, or you know what I mean? Like, it's that powerful. It even says in the Bible, as a man thinks, so is he. So we want you to check out our other conversations on purging. We have simple tools for you so you can hopefully feel more carefree, empowered, healthy, and manifest that light and have far less stress and toxicity and overwhelm. Lisa and I have absolutely enjoyed helping you shift and purge, and we look forward to hearing about your journey through this process. And we want you to share what you plan to incorporate moving forward.